Okay. Hetty, how's it going? Unmute your mic. Talk to me.
Okay, I got it. Sorry about that.
There we go. We've
How
had
are you,
3
doctor?
years to work that stuff out in the pandemic, mate. Where you been?
Man, it's crazy because when I look back on it, because I read Gift of Injury, I read all of McGill's books, and I saw like after reading it, I'm so like now I'm so aware of all the little signs leading up to what caused my issues, my lumbar spine and whatnot. But yeah, here I am. And I've
All right.
tried freaking I've worked with so many damn people, man. It becomes very disheartening at times.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I
Yeah.
have in similar straits myself 20 years ago. So I know what you're going through, and
Yeah.
the point in us being here is to try to share the things that I've learned over that 20-year period of time of working with people like Stu. Stu's a friend. He's
Oh,
a colleague.
Dr. McGill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Stu's work is what got me out of my mess
Oh
20
wow.
years ago. At that point in time, that was pre-web days and such, and I was trying to make sense of my injury, and I went to the only place that I knew how to navigate at that point in time, which was a medical school library stack, and I camped
Yeah.
out and I pulled as much research as I could on the topic, and Stu's name kept coming up. So you couldn't get on social media or anything in those days. So
No.
I called him because the information regarding the principal investigator on those studies was always included. And I got in touch with him and got to know him a bit. Over the years, I've taken all of his coursework several times and got to know him through that. Subsequently, I hosted him. I know you know Chris Duffin,
Yeah.
and I think that was your inroad to all of this. But I got Stu out here to Portland at Kabuki, and we put 150 people in the room
Oh
for
wow.
his coursework and everything, and had a delightful time. I've got a
That's
great
great.
picture. Chris had a sort of a monster truck thing that he had mostly put together himself with an incredible suspension and everything.
That's
And he would
great.
go off-roading and all on it. So I had him and Stu out. I took him out to dinner, and we finished dinner, and Stu, as we were walking over to our cars, Stu took a look at Chris's truck, and he's like, "Holy cow! What is this?" He says, "Oh my God, I'd love to have one of these up where I live." Stu's got a great place outside of on a lake outside of
he
Toronto.
yeah, he's in
He
Canada,
built
right?
his own house. He built his own house up there and all as well.
That
Say again?
that's actually what I do for a living. I've been in general construction since I was 16, so I've got 20 years of manual labor under my belt too. Not friendly on the back. A lot of
Yeah.
concrete and steel.
Yep. A lot of bent over postures. But I
Yes.
got a great photo of Chris and Stu crawling under the front end, laying on the ground, and Chris is showing him, shining his camera phone up, showing him
Yeah,
his section and everything.
that's
It was a good
awesome. Yeah,
so John,
Chris is a great guy as well.
unmute. Yeah, Chris
There
and
you
I
go.
have known each other now for 15 years. With his various issues, and now I've got an office in their facility as well.
Oh,
And
Kabuki's out in Portland.
yeah, Kabuki's
Okay,
just
bro.
outside of Portland, a little bedroom community called Clackamas, and
Gotcha.
it's about a 20-minute drive from my house. But yeah,
That's
Chris
not
and
bad at
I
all.
have been playing together now for 15 years regularly, and trying to get him in a better position to do the things that he's doing. And
Does Chris have spine issues as well?
Chris, like practically every power lifter that I've ever
Yeah.
known has had his share there, but his back
Yeah.
is not an issue for him.
Okay, great.
Primary thing for Chris over the years has been elbow mobility from
Ah,
benching. That's what ultimately took him out of competition
gotcha.
because of historical issues there. He couldn't lock out
Yeah.
a bench.
Ouch.
So,
Yeah.
that took it. He's had
Yeah.
surgery and now has better range of motion, but it's not an uncommon injury
No, for sure.
in power lifters, especially when they haven't done requisite work overhead. So,
Mhm.
John, jump in here. Talk to me a little bit. Where are you?
So this is like coming right up on 2 months. I got my MRI results on Monday afternoon, and I have a herniated L5. It's got a couple fissures, so it was like dumping some of its material in and just tapping nerves all the way down as it was trying to clean itself out. It's been slowly getting better. Every day is better than yesterday, sort of thing for me. So I've been happy with that. I've had trouble with mobility and movement and flexion in the left foot. That's slowly getting better. I couldn't move my toes for a month, I bet. So that's getting better right now. The bottom of the left heel is numb, and it feels like I've got like a rock or a sliver underneath the ball of the pinky toe. And that kind of comes and goes. I think it came back like Thursday, I think. So, but other than that, slowly recovering and happy for that. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a wildland firefighter. I'm a mountain biker and a cross-country skier. And this, we got a ton of snow. I'm down in Southern Oregon. We got a ton of snow right when this happened. And so it kind of put a hamper on my cross-country skiing for a while. And I was a little disappointed in that. But yeah, slowly getting better. And so I had gone to my chiropractor, Kelly Lang in Ashland, about twice a week during this whole process, a massage about once a week, and a little bit of yoga, no forward folds. I somehow knew that before I was watching some of your videos. So I've slowly kind of brought myself into yoga, gone back to a studio a couple days a week, but really still it's my own practice. I don't follow much what the teacher is doing. It's just kind of my own thing and what feels good in my body at the time. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know Ashland well. My local contact down there, who has actually written me up quite a few times. He's a chiropractor in Ashland. His name's Mark Heller.
I know Mark.
Ashland's a small community, so I know you know Mark. But Mark's my go-to there. He writes in one of the online rags for chiropractic, and he's written up the stuff that I'm doing several times. So you got a local person there. And Teddy, I think you're in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if Charlie, I think Charlie Weingroff, he's at Drive 495 in Manhattan.
Okay.
Charlie is a doctor of physical therapy and a power lifter. And his primary residence is down in Jupiter, Florida. But he does make trips back and forth to New York, and when he does, he carries office hours. So if you need hands-on locally there, I can try to put you in touch with Charlie. And
yeah, I wouldn't.
He's an 800-pound squatter, so he knows a little thing about playing with weight too.
Yeah,
And
it certainly wouldn't hurt to have him see me.
His work is in. He works with several of the top Nike athletes, and he's head of strength and conditioning for Canada basketball. used to be from MARSOC for the Marine Special Operations and stuff. So he's
Oh, that's great.
he's a wonk, and he would be good for you if you need something beyond what we're able to do here. So,
Yeah, I would certainly be open to it.
Gents, I should say that for what it's worth, and I'll give you the if you want to give me a thumbs down on this, I am recording this. This is a brand new thing. I am trying to see if I can take the material that I've had online over the years and try to put it in a venue that services people a little better. Historically, it's been in, you know, a one-way facing kind of a website that you just go and it's kind of cold and you interact with it. And the only way you could interact with me is through social media or whatever. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate social media. I don't want to go there at all these days. So, you know, when you go there, you always subject yourself to a whole lot of BS from a whole lot of people that are just looking to stir up controversy and everything. And, you know, I've been doing this now for 20 years. I know how to help people with this stuff. And I just want to try to focus on getting people that need help in some kind of a format that we can get together out of all of the noise of social media, and let's just get down to business and try to fix some shit. So I'm not sure what venue this is going to ultimately turn into right now. Just like you guys, it looks like you got me in my living room. If at some point we need to move to a gym or a studio and make this a little more formal, so be it. But right now, my dog's over here bugging me because we got a run scheduled right after this. And,
I got mine right.
You're gonna get.
I got mine right here.
Unfiltered. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Yeah, she was just
So you'll
crying
get
at the door.
unfiltered. As we get this thing rolling, it's going to be small groups like this, because this program in this format has only been in existence now for about 10 days. So we'll see, you know, ultimately we'll probably have much bigger groups that are available on here, and then we'll have to manage that as we go. So a lot of this is going to be, and what we do here is going to be governed by a few parameters, okay? One, this is what you make it and what I make it. So whatever you want, I'm here for you in the amount of time that we're here for, to try to help you out with things that the online program is not able to cover, okay? Because it's got limitations as an online program. The other thing that limits this is because of the powers that be that govern my professional standing and such, I can't be your doctor in this format. I can talk to you in a way, in a coaching format. I can talk you through exercises, and I can talk to you about things that we find that are effective in working with our patients in clinic. So you might notice as we go along that I will couch saying certain things as, well, Teddy, I can't talk to you about your specific issue, but in my patients that I see with an L5-S1 disc herniation, with an extrusion, with a right-sided radiculopathy, when I see them move in a certain way, this is what I'm going to see. Cool?
Cool.
So please understand the limitations of that. I got to see, you know, protect
Absolutely.
my own ass on this and make sure
Absolutely.
that I don't wind up in somebody's hot water. In small groups like this, I'm going to have to, you know, trust you guys and hope that you're not going to try to hang me out to dry somewhere.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So with all of that in mind, I've gone through one of the cool things about being on the Thinkific platform, this learning management system platform. I can go through and see where you guys are in the program. And John, I can see that you've gone through, you've already worked through the chapter 3 material. And the chapter 3 material is primarily there to try to show you how to find some sort of a pain relieving movement or position that you can put yourself in. How did that go?
I think it went really well. I knew some of it just through yoga practice, but a lot of it was helpful. And it was good to see that the stuff that I was doing was recommended by you, because it seemed to be working for me. And it was good to find other things as well. I didn't even, there was a thing about, getting out of bed in the morning, because, morning, like you explained, is a little rougher for some of us with spine injuries. And so just getting down on the floor getting out of bed and doing some cat cows just to get some mobility in the spine. I did that this morning, and that helped immensely in the morning, moving, or just, getting up and moving around the house. That was good. And that's something that I hadn't thought of.
Good. And it sounds like you were in that 70th to 80th percentile of people that repetitive extension was helpful for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Then that's all peace, love, and guitars. What I want to hammer home then with a person that's at your place in the program that has learned that extension is helpful is to frame that appropriately. With my patients, what I typically see is they can easily lapse into what we'll call McKenzie purgatory. That prone press up is from Robin McKenzie's work, and it's dreadfully effective at this particular condition, for this particular condition. But what I often find, and with this program, and again, hats off to you guys for taking the step to move beyond just getting out of pain, but to actually fixing the problem and not having it be something that regularly impacts your life. That's our goal here, not to just get you out of pain, because getting out of pain should be relatively straightforward. You get beyond chapter 3, you should be feeling a hell of a lot less pain. If everything is, if you're in that 70th to 80th percentile and all is working well. And if it's not, if you're in a lower percentile, then we can troubleshoot that. And that's the point of us being here.
Yeah.
But if that McKenzie purgatory, what I commonly see it with patients, people, human behavior is people are very highly motivated by pain and economic pain, by physical pain and economic pain. And other than that, folks, as much as they around election cycles and stuff talk about wanting change this and change that, people are really good at maintaining a current comfort level. So the pain, once people get out of it with their back, they often think, oh, well, I'm good to go now, and then they don't do any further exercises. They don't continue to further their understanding of the condition. And the reality is this type of injury has a natural history over time, and it will change over time. Things that you currently have, this is a new injury for each of you, things that currently are typical of the pain that you feel on a day in, day out basis, that will change, it will go away, and over time other things may come in and we'll address those as we need to. But the cool part is you've got me. We've got a format like this, and we're gonna take care of you as best we can for as long as that needs to be. Coolio? All right.
Yep.
So that's where you are, John, in the program. And Teddy, when I look at your progress so far, you're relatively early on in it.
I just got access yesterday. So.
And you are also, you're taking the Kabuki program that we put together for strength athletes. and you're test driving that for us as well as a beta tester.
Yes, sir.
Have you spent any time in that?
No, so what I wanted to do is I opened up your course yesterday, started there, but then I saw the invitation. So I'm like, let me speak with the doctor first, see what everything is. And it was actually one of my questions. Do I run them simultaneously? Do I run through your course first and then that course? What would you recommend on that front?
That's a really good question. The way that I put the one together on the Kabuki platform, and John, for your information, are you familiar with what Kabuki Strength Lab is?
Just from your videos, I have heard of them. So
it's one of the top powerlifting facilities, if not the primary powerlifting facility in the world. Probably more world record holders per square foot there than in any other gym I can think of, other than maybe Westside Barbell. And I'm not sure what Louis' status there is these days with, competitive powerlifters. But some of the people that come to me are very heavy into strength game. They play with a lot of weight in the gym, and they're a different subset. And what I would like to do with this Fix Your Own Back program over time, and you'll see it as you get towards the later chapters, is I'd like to parse out special courses for special communities. And the powerlifters are near and dear to my heart because that's been a pool I've been playing with now for 15 years. I put that course together in tandem with the coaches at Kabuki. So that one's really good for CrossFitters, powerlifters, Highland Games competitors, rugby, football, etc. Anybody that's used to being able to play with heavy weight in a gym. So we're going to assume, like Teddy, who's been in the strength game for a number of years. I think you're a strength coach, right, Teddy?
Well, I'm actually a pro natural bodybuilder for over a decade, and I'm a performance and nutrition coach as well. And because of this injury, I have not been able to barbell squat or barbell deadlift since 2020, and just the psychological effect from that. That's probably the hardest thing that I have to deal with. I just feel like a shell of myself.
Are you still competing in bodybuilding?
I stopped because of this. I just can't train the way I need to.
Okay.
Especially my legs.
Okay, so we need, for you, one of the goals we're going to set for you is to get you back into competitive bodybuilding.
100%, I agree.
And that's going to be a relatively straightforward goal for you as we go. And I want you to hear clearly that most of the powerlifters that I've worked with over the years, I didn't work with Eddie Cohn, but I've had a beer and a burger with him.
He's great.
I know. I worked with Amit Sapir, who was gunning and almost got there to be the first person to have concurrent world records and in total lifting in 4 weight classes.
Oh, wow.
I work with Rudy Kadlub, who is co-owner of Kabuki Strength Lab, and at 74 2 days ago,
I saw the email.
Did you see it?
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Rudy just, it was informal. It was just in the gym, but he invited everybody in to do something that he set as a regular thing every year to try to PR on his birthday in a deadlift.
So awesome.
And he pulled 524, 1 pound more than he did last year. And that he has gotten stronger every year from the age of 70 on. He has
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Rudy's
had this injury.
That hit close to home to me as well, because I showed it to my father. My father just turned 70, and he's one of my main training partners. And the funny part is, he starts making fun of me. He goes, a 74-year-old deadlifts 1 pound less than you. He goes, and you can't even get back under the bar. And I'm like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying, because 525 is my PR.
Okay. Well, for what it's worth, Rudy pulled that 524 for 2 reps.
I would die on the second rep. I don't have 2 in me. I definitely.
I mean, everybody, it blew everybody away. I don't know if you know Kyle Young. Kyle is the head coach at Kabuki, and he's also the head coach for the U.S. Powerlifting Association.
That's awesome.
They got back from the international competition, and the U.S. team took gold. So we're kind of buzzy on that as well.
That's great.
But both Kyle and Chris Duffin was there as well. Both went up and whispered in Rudy's ear and said, "I think you've got 2 in you. If you feel it, go for it." So the rest of us are sitting there. The rest of us are watching it, and he killed that first rep.
Amazing.
He just, if you saw it,
good speed,
owned that rep. And then he put the bar down and he started the second rep, and everybody was like, "Ooh, holy shit." So yeah, he completely killed that. And for what it's worth, Rudy has diverticulosis, and he hasn't had an episode in 10 years. And 2 weeks ago, he had an episode of diverticulitis. So Kyle had him peaked in his training for 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
And Rudy wound up on antibiotics, shitting his guts out.
Yeah, and that's a bad disease too.
Dehydrated and not training for a full week. And then Kyle had to reintroduce him to weight and bring him up to peak over a week period.
It's incredible.
So for him to do that was just, literally, Kyle and I were talking the other day. It's like, this is new.
It gives me hope,
in an athlete that old to have that kind of a impact on your systemic health right before you're trying to do that kind of thing, and still be able to come back even at that age. And mind you guys, Rudy is not on antibiotics. He's not doing any of that crap.
Yeah.
So this is good, natural, good programming, and he's doing it. So Teddy, I need you to keep the hope alive here, because the way that we manage this condition that you have in the gym to make it stronger and to get on the other side of the pain is to load it with weight in a deadlift to start with.
So yeah, and I would say one of my biggest hurdles is the fear around certain symptoms and the fear around attempting different loading schemes. That because for example, like I believe his name's John, right? The other guy here, John. Okay, so like John, I have some of the not numbness, but I'll have like some tingling in the heel. Sometimes it'll travel to the toe, but most of the time the radiculopathy is mainly around my ankles on both legs. And I would have like some sciatica on like the left glute, whatchamacallit. But my brain goes into these crazy places. Like I start thinking of Ronnie Coleman and all these things. I have family who had messed up fusions in their back, and I just don't want to go that route. So it's like, do I get head fast and just go towards my goal, or do I just try to live pain free? And I want to be under the bar. I want to do what I love, but that fear sets me back.
There's a balancing aspect there, brother. The balance is in understanding and knowing that loading this thoughtfully is the way to get on the other side of it. Both the fear, the headspace, and the issue at the tissue level in the spine.
Yeah.
Though the science is there that loading is the right thing to do. Loading poorly is the wrong thing to do. And it will set you back. So the whole point in this program is to inform you of what that means so that you can avoid it. Okay, so let's play with that for a moment, and let me talk a little bit. I'm going to behave with both of you. Essentially, what I'm trying to do with the program in this format is to share with you, as near as I can, what a patient contact experience would be like on the first visit with me. Okay.
Gotcha.
So I'm John, you're a little bit further ahead in the program, so pardon us for here, but I think we'll probably reinforce some things that hopefully will make some sense. Are we good with that?
Yep. Good with it.
Thank you, John.
So, I will generally at this stage, after doing a history and a history in a patient and a physical exam, if we've identified there is a disc problematic that is symptomatic in that individual, then we're going to talk a bit about what that phenomenology around the disc is. What is the disc? What is it like? What is it not like? Now, you guys are at different points in the program. John has already found his pain relieving movement. Teddy, at this stage of the game, if you were in my clinic, we would have already identified what a pain relieving movement is. So I'm going to peel back and I'm going to talk a little bit to you specifically about that for a moment.
Okay.
Do you know anything about McKenzie protocols, Teddy?
I'm aware of it, correct. I know he's very extension based.
Yes. Have you tried those extensions?
So I was working with a gentleman a while back, and I think he went a little too aggressive in the McKenzie progressions. Instead of, let's say, like starting on my elbows, for example, I was palms down right away. And I think that was too much for me. So I almost have like just like a negative energy attached to it. But then again, like John was saying with the cat-cows, I can do cat-cows and I do feel relief after I do that. So I don't know, maybe like a prone hip extension like you were referring to before might be something good. I've done something similar where I'll put my torso on the end of a bench and my legs are down, and I'll do one leg at a time, kind of like a reverse hyper almost. One leg at a time to kind of like introduce some extension, and those feel fantastic for me. But the funny part is if I'm gonna bench press with my feet on the ground, that'll kind of aggravate my symptoms.
Okay. So it sounds like you might be in that 20th percentile or so. Not sure until you actually go through chapter 3.
Yeah.
And you determine what I want you to do is to try to find something that makes your back feel better. Julio?
Yeah. Yes.
And even more specifically, the way that we track progress in a McKenzie protocol is the centralization phenomena. Does that mean anything to you guys?
The centralization phenomena, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically what you mean is you want the pain centralized in the lumbar spine, correct?
That's very close to being 100% correct.
Okay.
What you both have described, sciatica, radiculopathy, symptoms down the leg in the extremities, right?
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Teddy, you described it in both legs, which means I've got to ask some rule out questions. Got to get personal here. Have you had any numbness or tingling around your groin or rectum?
No, I maybe like a very tiny tingle, like from my left, like a glute cheek, whatever you want to call it, from like, but it's not like centralized. That's probably the extent of it.
Have you had any fecal or urinary incontinence, poop or pee slipping?
No.
On the flip side of that, have you had urinary or fecal retention? You're constipated, or you feel like you're full in your bowel or your bladder and you can't empty out?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you had any new problems with erectile dysfunction?
Nope.
Okay. Those are warning signs of a condition called cauda equina syndrome. Okay.
Yeah.
So
terrified of it.
If we have a centrally presenting disc herniation that is pressing straight back instead of more towards one side or the other, it will tend to push on the nerves that service your nethers. And if that pressure is consistent and prolonged, then it can result in permanent loss of function of bowel and bladder. That's not something that anybody wants. So if you feel those symptoms or start feeling those symptoms, don't come running to me, go to your doctor, even
Gotcha.
the emergency. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're clear there. Now, centralization. The way that we most clearly can determine whether or not you're moving in the right direction is whether or not the symptoms in your legs are moving back upstream towards your back and your butt. Okay.
Yeah.
So anytime you have symptoms in your legs, Teddy, do you have them right now?
As I'm sitting, no.
Okay. Is there any way that you can provoke those symptoms?
Yeah, I'm sure. Usually when I change positions, for example, let me see. So it's like, yeah, I'll feel a little of like around here at the moment.
Okay,
My
so
left
you
shin.
feel it right now as you're standing up.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
usually, but like, and if I stand here for a while, it'll dissipate.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
it'll dissipate once you've been there for a while.
Yeah, I would say so. And then almost the adverse effect too. If I stand here for a while, they'll kind of come back. So it's kind of like, yeah, John gets it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm familiar with that one as well. So just for grins, I want you to jump down on the floor, prop yourself up on your elbows, and see how that feels.
Like lay chest down and then go. Let me see if I can get the get this here. Okay. Okay, so I'm on my elbows at the moment.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Right
so
now I
we're
feel
gonna
fine.
spend about 30. Good. We feel now. I want you to pay specific attention to the symptoms you were having in your leg.
Yeah.
We're going to spend about 30 seconds here, and I want to know whether your symptoms in your leg are getting better, worse, or staying about the same.
Now, do you want me to stay as is, or do you want me to push torso up?
For right now, you're staying here.
Yeah. Right now I
Now,
feel fine. No symptoms at the moment.
Good. Now, on a day in, day out basis, do you reliably feel pain every day?
Yeah, I feel symptoms daily.
Okay. And are they reliably worse in the morning?
I would say as soon as I get out of bed, for sure, I have the radiculopathy in the ankles.
Okay.
The lumbar itself, not always. You
Yeah.
know, it depends on the day, depends how I sleep. You know, I try to be cognizant of how I'm sleeping. But
So
yeah, it depends on my training the night before as well.
That's a hallmark of a disc herniation with radiculopathy. Patients in our clinic typically don't report that they have any back pain that's notable at all. All of the symptoms that really get them motivated are in the leg. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for here, mate, is we should see that the symptoms are getting better or
Okay.
they're staying the same. Are they getting worse in the leg?
No.
Now,
No.
what we may see with the centralization phenomena is as the symptoms regress back up the leg and come closer into the butt and the back, that you may start to feel new symptoms there.
Gotcha.
And it may be more pronounced for a while than what you were feeling in the leg.
Okay.
That, for some reason, happens in about 30% of people. If it does, as long as the symptoms are coming back up, it's still green light. Everything is still good. Just understand that that is something that sometimes happens with this. It's
Okay.
confusing, and we're still trying to tease out in the literature.
Yeah.
But it tends to still mean good things. Cool?
Cool.
All right. Stand up, please. So you were able reliably to stand up a moment ago and make the symptoms came into your lower leg.
Yeah. Right now I feel pretty symptom free at the moment. You know?
Okay. So
I
why
don't
don't you
feel
stay
much.
standing? Why don't you stay standing there for a moment and we'll check back in on that in just a jiffy. Okie doke.
Sounds good.
Now, I'm going to share screen and give you guys a little bit of a 411 about what discs do. One of the things that I will commonly ask patients when we've gotten to this particular point in, are you guys able to see my computer?
Yes, sir.
Good. One of the things that I will commonly ask patients when I see them at this particular stage is, do you know what discs do? And what I'm usually looking for there is one of two responses: cushion or shock absorber. And you'll see some of the video on that in a bit, Teddy, if you haven't seen it already. John, I think you've already gone through those videos. So the discs by design manage insane amounts of pure compression, but they're not so resilient for compression with additional flexion. Now here on the right, we've got a model, especially this one right here in the middle, for how an injury typically proceeds over the course of time in that structure. The center of the disc, when we're younger, is kind of a thick gel-like substance. They call it the nucleus pulposus. And it's surrounded by a layered structure you can see over here that's obliquely oriented, one layer on top of the other like that, in a lamellar fashion. And this is basically collagen material, very much like the strong ligaments in your ankle and such. Those layers, that structure is called the annulus fibrosus, or annulus for short. And the weird thing about the annulus is the inner layers, the inner 2/3, have absolutely no nerves in them. Key point. So if you're John and you're in a yoga studio for a number of years trying to coach your head, your face closer to your shins, then over time, the inner layers with that combined compression from the body weight with additional flexion with the rounded back posture will tend to compromise those inner layers first. And there is no innervation to those layers. So you would not be wiser to the progression of injury to that annulus until you start nudging into the outer third of that annulus. And at that point, you run into nerves in the outer third of the annulus. And for many people, that's when they start feeling a little bit of back pain kind of come on after their yoga session for John, or maybe after a squat session for Teddy, okay? For Teddy, probably your injury came on in a squat or a deadlift in all likelihood. In a squat, probably with a butt wink in the hole at the bottom of the squat, or a buckling moment on a squat or deadlift. And maybe you can identify that moment when it happened clearly at some point in your past.
Yeah.
And that is how injuries like this progress. And sometimes patients will report in our clinic that, you know, their injury occurred when they were doing something completely innocuous, bending over to pick a sock up or emptying the dishwasher or something of that sort. And they commonly will say, I felt an intense burning pain and maybe even heard a pop at that time. And then they start having the symptoms down the leg. Now, what happens to cause those symptoms down the leg is right over here. Here we've got a little bit more detailed visual in what they're showing. And here, this is just a disc bulge. This is a disc extrusion, which sounds more like where John is based on the imaging I think you were referring to there, where some of the nuclear material has actually gotten out. Now here, what they're representing is we have two things that are pissing off this nerve root, okay? And that nerve root contributes to the sciatic nerve. that means that all the way down the course of that nerve will tend to be mechanically sensitive. That means it will be sensitive to stretch and sensitive to pressure. Okay. So that may be germane to some of the symptoms that Teddy's feeling. Teddy, you're standing there now. Do you have symptoms in your leg?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So it's entirely possible that what we're seeing with you, Teddy, is that where a derivative of the sciatic nerve that goes through that portion of your leg is getting mechanical pressure when you stand for a period of time.
Okay.
It may be that that's why you're getting those symptoms right there. Now, do you have any symptoms in your thigh and the back of your leg?
No, at the moment, no.
Okay, so
It's
it's
more-
all right there in your leg. So let me
Correct.
ask you, when people do manual therapy or you do manual therapy in that leg, does it make your symptoms there locally a little better?
Yes.
Okay, so that's probably what we're looking at with your symptoms there with standing, Teddy.
Okay.
So you could test that, and our patients, and the way that we do that in the clinic is you could do some nerve flossing to address that area. And what I like to do is combine a little bit of manual therapy locally and then do the nerve flossing. So do you have a foam roller or anything handy?
At the moment, I can go get it, but it's in my garage.
Okay. So what I would suggest, and you can trial this, at some other point, but you kneel and put that part of your leg where you feel those symptoms on it on the foam roller, work it back and forth until things kind of mellow out there a little bit. Usually that's going to be within a minute or two.
Yeah.
And then you lay on your back.
Okay.
And you pull a knee up to your chest, laying on your back flat, and you're going to kind of point your foot down like this, like you're kicking up, like you're punting a football, and you're just going to kind of pump gently that way.
You have your foot dorsiflexed or the other way?
I have it plantar flexed and inverted.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you can do 10 reps or so of that after doing the manual therapy. And I'm going to suggest with someone with the type of symptoms that you're feeling there that are consistent and they keep coming back in that hot spot in the leg, that you might want to try that and see if that makes those standing related symptoms better. Now, there's a possibility if you do that it could worsen them. If we're a little bit ahead of the curve there, it could worsen them. If so, don't freak out. Just backpedal a little bit and we'll work on managing the curve in your low back a little better. Coolio?
Yeah. You know what seems to take away a lot of pain, like very instantly? Any type of like glute flexion. Like if I'll do clams with like a hip circle around my knees and I'll do like 25 clams, for example, that tends to just give me immediate relief.
Okay.
So I don't know if that tells you anything.
Yeah, it may, because there are several spots along the course of the sciatic neurology that the nerve gets, the nerve receives a lot of mechanical stress. And one of those places is deep in the butt, around the piriformis muscle, around the hamstring insertion or the hamstring origin, and around the internal and external rotators of the hip, which sounds like is probably the area where you've got some issues. And sometimes in a person, if they've had a prior history of injury to any of those structures, sometimes we'll see this in sprinters after they've had a hamstring injury. The repair process can cause a little bit of collagen tethering of the nerve in that area and make it a little more vulnerable to report in that area. So at any rate, our goal for both of you is to find a position that causes the symptoms to come back up the leg and to stay up the leg and to keep working in that. Now, the McKenzie Purgatory is just continually doing the thing that brings the symptoms, that takes the symptoms away, but not understanding the mechanism of injury and continuing to expose yourself to the mechanism of injury, which for most is a combined compression with additional flexion and or rotation in the disc. So for many people in modern living, that looks like the injury happens and then it stays in place because during the day, they sit in a chair with a slumped back posture. So that's common. Now, they will commonly report, it feels better when I slump a bit after I've been sitting for a while. Now, here's what happens. Your body is smarter than you. So if you've been losing this curve in the lower back for a period of time, the body will tighten those muscles in the low back. And then you'll start getting some compression on other nerves. These are the superior cluneal nerves that innervate the skin across the top part of your gluteal muscles. And these nerves, as you can see here, come off higher in the spine than you guys have in your where your injury is. They're all the way up here. So this is an entirely different flavor of pain that is a common collateral issue with this particular presentation. The tight muscles, owing to the body trying to preserve that curve that you keep habitually losing, will start to press on these nerves, and that'll start to become a symptomatic issue. Okay, there's data there in the or videos there. I believe I got them in chapter 3 or chapter 4 to show you how to do some manual work on there to take away that if it is present. But understand that the muscles here will be tight. These are type 2 skeletal muscle fibers, right? So they are made to be prime movers, to move and relax, move and relax. And if they're placed in a long, steady state of contraction, just imagine you guys were standing here at this point with a 5-pound dumbbell in your arm and you've had your biceps flex for the last 20 minutes, then you know what your biceps would feel like right now. It would feel like it's burning. And patients that start to feel that burning in these muscles can poke the muscle and find that, wow, that's tender. That must be where my back pain originates. What do you do to a short, tight muscle to make it feel better? Commonly, people will try to stretch it. And how would they do that, John?
They would lean forward.
Exactly. They try to put their palms on the floor. And you know what? It would temporarily feel good, wouldn't it? It would make the muscles feel better here because they're improving blood flow, improving oxygenation, and they're reducing tissue acidosis. Okay. So that's the phenomenology that's causing that local pain. What are they also exposing themselves to, John, when they do that forward bending, rounded back stretch?
So, the hamstrings tighten because they're trying to protect everything. And so you're stretching the hamstrings out when they don't want to be stretched. They're tight for a reason. So you're just increasing. It's just going back and forth. It's a tug of war.
But if you're exactly right, but if they do that forward bending, rounded back stretch for the hamstrings and the low back, what are they presenting at the level of the spine?
So you're taking out the natural curve of the spine.
And you are adding compression with additional flexion to the injured disc. So you're keeping a positive feedback loop in place. And something that I want you guys to start getting your head around, especially your Teddy, based on some of the things that you talked about.
Yeah.
What this is about at the end of the day is the presentation of threat to tissues that your body covets. and it will behave in a protective manner to try to intervene on your behalf to keep you from injuring the spinal cord and major neurology that services the muscles of the legs, which allow you to hunt and gather more effectively, okay? So the locked back, the spasms that you've likely experienced are all part of that process of the exposure of threat and then a reaction by the body. So our longer term goal is to understand that threat presentation. The nature of it typically is an ongoing loaded exposure to flexion with additional compression and reducing exposure to that threat. Now here's where it gets weird. And this speaks directly to some of the things you were concerned about, Teddy. It starts to get in your nut because your brain is trying to intervene on your behalf. And maybe you guys have heard or read about the function of the amygdala and hippocampus in the brain. The amygdala is, the hippocampus records sort of events and memories for you. And the amygdala associates emotional content with that, or how you should react. So when you've been dealing with this kind of back pain for a period of time, it is not unlike post-traumatic stress disorder, in that you periodically are disabled. You're not able to move. You're not able to do the things that you want. Your security is threatened. You're not able to go and do your bodybuilding training. You're not able to be the personal trainer that you're supposed to be, working with your clients. You begin to feel less than. You worry if you're going to be able to support your family, support yourself. These are very real things in human life. And if you're being exposed to that and you don't know why, and you don't know what to do to make it better, then your brain will start looking for clowns around every corner.
Yeah, that's
and
where
if
I
you
am.
occasionally show a clown picture to your brain, it might freak out. So what I mean by that weird analogy, if you show your body things that the brain has categorized as being potentially threatening, even though there's no actual threat at the tissue level, then the brain will initiate a protective response and a spasm. And John, I saw you nodding a lot earlier when we were talking about how your body can freak out sometimes just doing something innocuous, bending forward to pick something up, and you get that, kind of moment. Those moments often are those top-down threat presentations. Okay. Now, how you know whether it's top down or bottom up? Maybe Teddy's going out, he's going to do a workout, and his back hurts after the workout, and Teddy wonders, I wonder if I just did myself some disservice. Did I just hurt myself? Okay. Because when you work a muscle out, Teddy, and you work it out good, you've done some volumetric training and you've got some lactate buildup, how's the muscle going to feel the next day?
Yeah, exactly. That's sore.
Okay. And you start wondering whether that DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness, is pain associated with your back or not. So here's what you do, gents. You take your thumb and you make a Bill Clinton thumbs up. You remember how he used to stick his thumb up like this, right?
I sure
I
do.
want you to make a little Bill Clinton thumbs up and wiggle your thumb. I want you to take that sucker and reach around behind your back right now. Do it. And find those sticky outy bones in your back. The bones that you can palpate that stick out. They're called the spinous
like along the
process.
spine?
The spinous processes. And I want you to go to the areas in between the spinous processes. And I want you to shove your finger in there pretty good and see if it's tender in those lower ones. Okay, the ones at L5S1, L45, and maybe even above L34. Okay. Now, if you're having trouble finding and figuring out where those are, look at the screen here and you see where the pelvic bones kind of come down like this, and you
Yeah.
find those two sticky outy bones on both sides. That's called your
Okay.
posterior superior iliac spine, or PSIS. If you find those and then trace directly inward, that should be L5 right there. And you want to poke between L5, between L5 and S1, between L4, L4, 5, and between L3, 4. Is it tender in any of those areas?
Not
No.
really.
Beautiful. Then you're doing the right things, gentlemen.
Okay.
You're not poking a disc there, right? There are ligaments between those spinous processes. And those ligaments, if you are stretching them excessively with rounded back postures, they will be tender. And that would suggest that you have exposed the spine to some flexion and compression mechanism. And that would suggest that you have a bottom up threat presentation. And you should look for places during your day that you're exposing yourself to that. Is it in the gym with poor form on your chosen exercises, Teddy? Is it with some of your yoga postures, John? Is it with either of you with prolonged exposure to a rounded back while you're sitting? Okay. And if you feel that tenderness there, that's how you address it. Address the threat where it occurs. If you poke in that area and you're not tender, but you're having symptoms, then you got to wonder if it's coming from up here, from essentially bad memories that your brain has categorized as potentially threatening. This is the current evidence in the so-called pain neuroscience and pain psychology. This is the deeper level of understanding of how this condition afflicts people like you, okay? This is special that we're able to do this in this environment. And this is a level of understanding that most of your physicians that you've seen dealing with this, they don't know yet because it's relatively new. Cool?
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Teddy, how's your leg?
So it's dissipating now for sure.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, even in a standing position like this, if you've got some right now, let's see if extension is the go-to for you. Take your hands and put them on your butt.
Okay.
And push your butt forward.
Okay. So like this.
Yes. So rather than bending backwards, I want you to think about pushing your butt forwards. And just
stay
pulse
in here or keep doing repetitions?
Yeah, just do reps. All right, let's double time that, sir. Better. Good. Okay, we'll do 10 reps. Take stock of the symptoms in your leg.
Yeah, right now I feel nothing. So nothing changed at the moment.
Nothing changed in the leg.
No, and that's the thing with me. It's like I'll never feel anything immediately. It's always a little bit after.
What you described is a classic systems-based engineering problem. We have a system, you, a human body, and we are applying inputs into that system, but the outputs are frustratingly latent. They take a little while to show up.
Yeah. So
we do that, and then we wait 30 seconds or a minute, and we see how things are trending. So
yeah.
Now, how does your leg feel? Did that do anything beneficial for your leg?
No, I would say almost the opposite. Maybe I've started to feel a little tingling in the right leg.
Okay, then I would suggest that I want you to go through chapter 3 and do all of those things and try to find something. I'm okay with you provoking the symptoms in your leg and then testing against it to try to take the symptoms away. What we're trying to do is to find a directional preference on the McKenzie world. And if McKinsey doesn't work for you, that's cool. We've got Michael Shacklock's work with the neural dynamics and the static openers that John was kind of alluding to. That's the other content that's on there that people will often find helpful. Julio?
Okay. And it walks me through it in chapter 3?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, great.
That's all of chapter 3. Okay.
Great.
Now, gents, we've spent considerably more than the projected 30 minutes of time here.
Yes.
I'm hoping that you can hear in the way that I talk about this. I am earnest about this. I absolutely love my work. And I really feel privileged to have learned some cool stuff by studying with some very notable people around the world and putting that together and being able to leverage it against literally the strongest human beings in the world on a day in, day out basis, just down the hall from my office door. So I feel like I've got a special thing here that will help people. I'm hoping that you find benefit from that, and I am absolutely welcome to any input and feedback that you have on how to make this experience better at your end. Okay?
For sure.
Help me make it better.
Can I say one thing, doctor?
Please.
I've worked with many people online, contacted so many doctors, this and that. This is probably the first time I've ever spoke with a professional that's leaving me with a sense of confidence. So just thank you for that alone right there. You know, it's definitely beneficial just from my psychological aspect of recovering and rehabbing. So thank you.
That's a beautiful thing, Teddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. And as you're going forward, write notes down. I think I see John jotting some notes down. As you're going through this process, I want you to treat it like a student.
For sure.
The cool part, especially for both of you, because you both work with clients that will likely come to you and have these kinds of symptoms.
Yeah.
Being able to recognize it and to tweak the work that you do will actually make you more sought out in your community for the things that you already do. You will be able to specialize more to help those people better. Okay? John,
Gotcha.
you could advertise that you know this condition because you've had it and you've worked through it. You could, if you felt so inclined, send those folks my way, and we could start getting the process going. And then they come to your studio and everybody else is doing a forward fold, but that person is not. They're going to do some other things because you've learned some other things that are going to be a little better for them on that, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
Teddy,
exactly what my
thing?
chiropractor wants me to do. She's like, I want you to become the yoga specialist on this and help me fix people.
Hell yes. That is exactly right. What we're doing here is literally trying to take the edge of where the science is on this and not only make you better, but make you better to help serve more people. You guys know it from the work that you do. When you do work that serves other people, you feel good at the end of the day, like you've done something decent for folks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So first, you got to fill your cup before you can hand it to other people to drink from it, right? So let's get you shorn up so that you're feeling a little more optimistic about things going forward. Now, this particular venue and what we're doing here, I don't know what it's going to ultimately look like or what the access is going to be over time. You both are on the full membership side of the program, so you get access to me here. At current, the way that I'm imagining this is going to happen is weekly, with one caveat I'll mention more in a moment. Probably what I'm going to do as well is there are going to be a lot of tire kickers that come into the program. They do the free end of the program, and they're still like, I don't know if I want to commit to this. You know, the standard sales stuff that you guys deal with in your own businesses, right? Yeah. So they're trying to figure out whether or not I know what I'm talking about, whether or not the program is worth it, whether or not there's risk associated with it. Everything is money back guaranteed, right? You got 30 days. If you paid and you're like, he seems like a nice guy, seems like he knows what he's talking about, but it ain't working for me, then no questions asked. I am not here to try to get rich and famous. I'm here to fix shit. Okay. So let's fix some shit. And as we go along, what this will likely be over time is we will develop community here that I meet weekly with the lifetime members that are on that end of the plan, and then or the full membership, and then those meetings will be group meetings. Now you guys are in, this is a group meeting today. And you got me because you're on the ground level here. You've got really good access to me, and that'll change over time as the membership grows. But you guys you're in a good position right now, and I would encourage you as well on the community side of things. Again, help out, help spread the word. So when other people come on and they've got questions, if it's stuff that you've learned to help them out, man. Don't hesitate. Get in there and respond on that and try to help others out. If people have specific yoga-based questions, John, give them an answer. Teddy, if they've got specific bodybuilding-based questions, let's give them an answer. Okay?
Will do. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
These meetings will not all be an hour. They're more likely to be 30 minutes, especially as it gets bigger. And as this becomes more of a drain on my time. This is the weekend. I'm usually off on weekends. But this is time that I am willing to give on a regular basis to try to grow this community and make it better. We'll see how it trends over time. The caveat that I mentioned is I'm going on vacation next week on Friday, and I'm going to be gone for about a month. But I'm going to try over that month's period to intervene or to come in, and we can potentially have more of these for maybe a half-hour session or so, if my wife and my son will allow me to be able to do something like that. But you'll see me in some far-flung location. We're going to Europe. We're going to walk on a Camino de Santiago for a couple of weeks. So you'll miss me during that period, because I think it's probably just going to be untenable for me to try to do it there. But then we're going to be in Basque Country, and then we're going to go to Prague. And in those places, I'll have good internet access, and you'll have access to me better there. But during that period, part of what we'll also be testing, and what I want your feedback on, is how good's the damn program, the online program. I want you to make notes. Where are places that you can see that could be made better? The cool part about the way the program is laid out is each one of those lessons you go through, if I set it up right, each one of those lessons should have a feedback option at the end of it. And you can actually, if you get on the end of it and you're like, that's good, cool, show me some feedback. That was a good one. That was a particularly good one. Tell me something that worked well. If you see something that didn't work well, whether it's tech wise, the sound was off on this, or I wish I could see this better, or whatever, put it on there. And that way, over time, with each iteration, it gives me the opportunity to go in and steadily whittle at this program and make it better and better and better and better. And that's my goal. When I exit this mortal coil in hopefully in another 40 years or so, I turn 60 in a couple of days. So hopefully when I exit this mortal coil, I want to be able to look back and say, I made something really, really good to address a major public health issue here.
Great.
Julia?
Yeah.
Actually, Doctor, one last question for you. So with the Kabuki program, did you want me to watch them simultaneously? That was my only confusion.
I'm okay if you do that simultaneously. I think that probably will serve you relatively well. What you're going to find is there's some overlap in the first chapters on
Gotcha.
both, but I'm filtering the overlap in the Kabuki program to people that have more faculty in the gym. They
Gotcha.
understand clinical lingo. They understand periodization programs, and that kind of stuff. They understand certain loading strategies in the gym, and exercise science maybe a little better than some of the other people that will come to this.
But you do recommend watching both.
Yeah, I don't mind you watching both. I think what will happen if you start watching the Kabuki stuff and you're like, ah, damn, that's I don't understand what he's talking about there. Go back and you'll likely find that it's in the Fix Your Own Back program.
Gotcha.
Cool. So
Excellent.
I'm happy with you doing both. Again, for you, Teddy, you're going to be special in this because you're the first beta tester we've had for that program. And
Awesome.
we don't know we don't know how to offer that through Kabuki. They're thinking about putting it in as a loss leader program. By all rights, there's nothing else in the world like that for that particular population. That's probably $1,000 program anywhere. But
So
they're thinking about throwing it in to a whole bunch of programs that they will be offering on their site ultimately. As a, as a teaser, a so-called loss leader, like your 72-inch $100 TV at Walmart at Christmas time. Put you in the door so that you buy a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah. So what I plan on doing is every chapter, I'll just take notes. I'll jot it down, and I don't know if you want me to email them to you chapter by chapter or wait till it all compiles.
The more the better. If you start to annoy me, I'll tell you. And if I start to annoy you, if I start to annoy you, you tell me. All right.
As long as you fix me, you can annoy me all you want.
Right.
Bargain.
So that's all that
Bargain.
man. Yeah.
Bargain. All right, gentlemen. Go out there. I bet it's beautiful down in Ashland today, like it is here.
It is.
And I hope it's lovely in Brooklyn, Teddy. Go enjoy your weekend. And if you've got questions as you're going along, my preference would be that you first respond, toss them out on the community that you're part of on the program, rather than hitting me up by email. I know it's nice to have my direct email and have that personal contact, but your questions are valuable to future users of the program, right?
For sure.
So let's get them there and have them there. And I'll respond to you with whatever personal understanding I have of your particular issue as I can recall it. And that way we'll help more people that way by putting it in more of a community forum. Fair enough?
Great.
Yep.
All right.
All right. You gentlemen are awesome. I really appreciate your help in us getting this program together. And I think what I'm going to try to do is maybe let's do another one of these maybe on Thursday morning, Pacific time, around this time this week, this next week, if you guys are down for it. Cool?
Sure. That'd be great.
Cool.
All right. Be well, take care of yourselves, and I will see you at some point, hopefully at the end of the next week.
All right. Feel better, John.
All right. Thank you. You as well,
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers.